Hey, it's Jim. I got the opportunity to look at two very similar scooters, and I'm just going to go, this is kind of going to be a brief review, not like my usual in-depth review. I'm just going to look at a few specs, give you a couple visual things, and I'm going to do a quick ride around the block on each of these two scooters, and that is the Apollo Pro over here and the Zero 10X. This is directly from Apollo. This is directly from RevRides. So my first comparison of the tool is going to be the trusty tape measure, and I'm just going to do a couple of measurements real quick. So the Zero 10X has a deck that is 9 inches wide, or about 230 millimeters. And we got exactly the same measurement here on the Apollo. Going from the point of the stem handlebars were set up slightly differently. They are the same height. For all practical purposes, they are the same besides the color. And these two models aside, this is the 60 volt 21 amp hour version over here. This is this 52 volt 20, I think it's 23 amp hours over on this side. So I won't be really comparing them from a performance standpoint, because that wouldn't be fair. They do both, these two models here both have hydraulic disc brakes. The reason I got the Apollo Pro here is I was contacted by a person who bought this, and I do scooter and bike repairs, and I put a new rear disc rotor on there for them. And Apollo is reimbursing them for the cost of me to do that, which I think is a good sign. And then a big difference between these two scooters is Apollo comes with a 2-year warranty straight away. RevRides is 1 year. RevRides has been really great. It looks like Apollo might do a very good job as well, even though they don't have a North America network. All right, so right in here, I'm going to put a little pan up of each scooter, slow motion, side by side here, so you can kind of see how similar they are. So you can see how similar these two scooters are. Fenders really look the same. The deck grip tape obviously is a different style. The Apollo's deck has got more grip tape in the center than the Zero's. They both have the Zoom disc brakes. So yeah, they both have 10-inch tires. They both have the separating rims. To me, it looks like the same disc rotor size, but I'll put anything that I found that's dissimilar along those lines on the screen. Same basic clamp mechanism. A lot of the differences here are really going to come down to personal preference. I sort of think my own personal preference, I think the matte red on the Zero doesn't quite look quite as sharp as the more metallic-y blue on the Apollo. I'm not sure why it strikes me that way, but that's really the biggest difference. And on the Apollo, the locking grip ends don't tie into the same color scheme. Really, other than that, they're the same scooter. And a little note about the bulk of Chinese scooters, a lot of these are coming out of similar or the same factories. So a lot of times you're really looking for the company representation that you're buying from for backing it up, because the products a lot of times are very much the same. All right, so that's just the quick look I wanted to do. I'm going to ride them each, and with the camera on, I'll put a little bit of that blurb from that ride, and then I'll summarize a little bit of what I thought, anything that maybe struck out to me. Yeah, is that the right word? Yeah, I think so. Stuck out to me, not struck out. On the two scooters, and these are both on their stock settings, like whatever they came from the given manufacturer, that's what I'm riding, and I did do no alterations at all. Here we are on the Apollo, and like I said, this is not my scooter, so I'm just doing a very short ride to just make sure the brake I adjusted repaired for this person is working properly. I didn't set up the handlebars or anything, I just tightened up some stuff for them. I am noticing we're only at about 50% battery or so, and when I looked last night I thought it was almost 100%, so I'm a little concerned that maybe there's some voltage not being accurate or something in here. but I'm gonna go ahead and just ride this loop mostly in speed limit 3, and I'm going to switch between single and dual motor mode. I'm probably stay in turbo mode most of the time. I'll give you some speed on the screen, but I'm not gonna attempt to go all that fast. Eco mode is pretty tame actually right here at 12 or 13 miles per hour. It pulls real quick, but then it seems like it tops out. We're in speed limit 3 and we're actually topping out like 13 miles per hour. It's kind of interesting. Now we're in turbo mode. With the 52 volt setup, and I think where we are in the battery, it feels pretty tame, but it feels nice. Even there, you know, it's taking off, get a little bit of wheel spin in the back. Scooter feels real firm. Not really feeling much movement at all in the stem. These 10Xs are sometimes known for a little movement up there. I'm not sure if Apollo did something differently than Zero does. We'll see if the 10X is similar. Suspension's nicely, it's got a nice feel to it right now. Makes it for a real smooth, and it's quiet. I'm sure you can hear or not hear it. All right, so we see how it handles. So there's a little bit of a settling point on when these scooters are pretty new. And let's see, looks like this person has 15 miles on the scooter. So they must have charged it, not even fully charged it before riding it, or hopefully it's not a battery issue. These do have LG cells and should be pretty well covered by Apollo's customer service. It seems like they're doing a good job. I'm gonna kind of hit the brakes pretty hard here. And its hydraulics are they just work pretty well. There's not too much of a suspension dive when you're hard braking on this one. So just gonna hold this I'm gonna do a little burst here, just maybe up to 25 to see how it feels. Feels pretty nice and, you know, solid at that speed. No real wobble or anything like that. Good job, Apollo. All right, we're taking off here. We are in eco mode, dual motor mode. And right away, the Zero, I think it's just that difference between 60 volts. Feels a lot torqueier, but that torque also makes the suspension flex a little more, and it feels a little bouncier. See how the brakes feel. Feel pretty good there. I can see from a speed perspective, I can't really be comparing. I couldn't charge the other scooter because I don't have the charger for it. So I just switched over from eco mode to turbo mode, and you can probably see that it flexes the handlebar a lot. I'm trying to see. It does feel like the Zero stem is a little more flexible than the Apollos for whatever reason. Still have the centering point here on the 10X. It doesn't have any miles on it, right? We're at mile 1 right now. Well, that's interesting. I'm not reviewing the Zero 10X at this point, but I noticed a very large voltage sag when I hit more power on the throttle. It went down to like 1 bar. That was kind of weird. Usually the displays have a little more delay on it than that. So I'm going to hit the braking pretty hard here, just like I did on the Apollo. Still quite good. Not a lot of, not too much dive. I actually noticed suspension flex almost a little bit more on the takeoff side. So I'm going to pop up just like I did on the Apollo, about 25. I mean, we're getting there very quickly because we're at 60 volts and we're charged. So that's our main difference here. All right, not bad job there, Zero. This Jim just wrapping this up. So I just rode both of these scooters and they're extremely similar. The riding characteristics, really not really much noticeable difference between the two. The only thing, for whatever reason, the stem on the Apollo seemed like it wasn't flexing quite as much, and the suspension right out of the box on the Zero felt a little softer. That is adjustable, of course. I'm not comparing these together from a speed perspective because we got a 52 volt versus a 60, but I really hadn't ridden the two variations back to back like that. There's a pretty large jump in torque and just performance with that jump to 60 volts. It does tend to it seems like it makes the suspension flex a little bit more under torque. So it depends on how you're riding the scooter. It might not be that desirable to have that jump in torque and speed. It just depends on you. Here's one more look at the two side by side. You can just see they're extraordinarily similar. Both seem like really capable scooters. I didn't talk too much about price because they're very close from what I'm seeing, but there's some variations all the time in sales and what have you. But it looks like the different models are within $100 of each other, and from what I can tell, the specs are basically identical on the battery combinations and brands of batteries. All above the base level, you got LG batteries. Both seem to have generic cells at the base battery, and if that's incorrect, I'll correct it on the screen. But that's all I'm going to cover for you. If you have any questions, I really don't have a lot of experience with either one of these, so but I'll try to help if I can. Thanks a lot. Talk to you next time.
Catch the wave, feel the